I think we are ready to start. I see that more and more people are coming. Helene Sabatini raised hand. Welcome. I see quite many names I know. So welcome. I'm really happy to be the host of this webinar today and to welcome you to what we believe and plan to be great source of ideas and practices that you hear and then you take back home and implement back home. We are here for the Placemaking for Better Neighborhoods webinar organized by BGB Active and under the program, the long-term program of the organization Spot Bulgaria. Today, we are gathered with many participants. We have over 250 people who registered for the webinar. And I believe that all of us, we have been in Zoom meetings, GoToMeetings, team meetings, and all other meetings, but still I would like to share with you the guidelines of the meetings and a bit of technical details. So this is a Zoom meeting. As a Zoom meeting, your videos and your microphones are muted as we are many people and we try to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly and quietly. Unfortunately, you cannot unmute yourself or show your video. Still, you can chat with each other through the chat box. And also there's a Q&A section, which you can use for your Q&A questions. Carrie and Francesco from BGB Active team will be taking care to follow all the questions that you have and transfer to me as the host and moderator of the meeting and to our speakers. For the Bulgarian participants, we have a translator, Dimitar, who will translate from English to Bulgarian, and you can change the settings of your audio down into your control setting, where you have next to the Q&A session, a globe saying translation. The meeting will be 90 minutes. We have 3 presenters. Each presenter will have about 15 minutes to present their learnings and their concepts and ideas to you. After each meeting, we will have 2 to 3 minutes for one burning question from the public. And don't worry, we will have more time at the end of the session for more the questions and answers. And I think if you read your reminder email, on the bottom you saw a strange request from us. And we ask you to bring a piece of an envelope, paper, and cover for pens. Why? We've set the objective of the meeting of what we want to give you, and as a measurement is the number of ideas, concepts, and sparkling thoughts you get from our speakers. So we ask you to write on the top of your envelope the greatest ideas of Placemaking for Better Neighborhoods webinar. And when you hear an idea, to write it down on a single piece of paper and put it in the envelope. At the end of the webinar, if you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, or 15 ideas, that will be great success for us that we've managed to deliver on the objective. And if you want, later on, after we finish, you can share a picture of your ideas, collection of ideas on your favorite social media with the hashtag Change is Possible and Placemaking for Better Neighborhoods. And thus we will know how happy you are or not with this webinar. Today with us, we have 3 wonderful ladies. I haven't seen them in person. I know them in virtual. Unfortunately, last year was not very gentle for our in-person meetings. But today with me and with us, we have Krista from Dallas, Texas and Better Block. We have Bahanur from Vienna, Austria and Play City Project and Initiative, and Martina sitting in Sofia, Bulgaria with KvARTal Initiative and Doma Art Foundation. All of our speakers work for the improvement in their neighborhoods. And they work with different tools and different concepts. And that's why they're here. Because Martina and KvARTal and Doma Art Foundation, they use the language of art to transform one of Sofia's neighborhoods. Bahanur, on the other side, works into developing and proving business cases of placemaking and sharing them across different cities and partners. And Betterwork and Krista, they focus on open sourcing ideas and free sharing of those. And I hear lately of 3D printing of public furniture, of which we will hear more later. And before we go to the webinar, I would like to share a little bit about BGB Active, the host and the organizer of this webinar. BGB Active was created back in 2011. And the first goal of the organization, the first idea, the mission, the vision, and everything that the organization wanted to achieve is to create positive change in the country and the cities through engagement of the civil society organizations and the citizens themselves. Since then, the organization works in two main directions. One is promoting of health and well-being through physical activity, and the Now We Move Bulgaria program, which is part of the global Now We Move campaign of International Sports and Culture Association, ISCA. And since 2017, the organization works with the language of placemaking. And what you see now is just a brief presentation of all the cities and places where the organization worked since 2017, facilitating and cooperating with organizations, municipalities, communities, and businesses in cities around Bulgaria to transform public spaces. And you know, it has been a great learning experience working with the communities, because back in 2017, when BGB Active started with placemaking, we didn't know much. There was just one idea. We wanted change. So throughout the placemaking, the organization, the partners, the participating communities managed to to transfer places into spaces and revive urban areas that were declining, to create places for social inclusion and young people. And you see two pictures, one from Silistra and one from Schumann. And these are great projects which are continuing their life, continuing their development and continuing improvement and increasing the networking around them. Also, placemaking throughout the years was used for supporting the other main program of the organization, creating more spaces for physical activity and movement. And this is great because through the language of placemaking, we involve different participants of community. And in this particular case, it was the voice of young people that we wanted to hear and engage into creating their own places and spaces for culture, dance, and sport and activity. I would like to share that this project is continuing now on international level with collaboration with Placemaking Europe and International Sports and Culture Association. And next week is the kickoff meeting of a 2-year project for the focused development of placemaking toolbox for increasing a physical activity in urbanized areas and cities. And you can follow this through BGB Active. And then placemaking for littering prevention. All of you that work into placemaking and you start with the reinvention and the redesign of a new place, very often we start with cleanup events. And with the learnings of the cleanups events, we understood that placemaking could also be used for littering prevention and improving of recycling levels. In 2018, BGB Active decided to support Plovdiv, the city where the organization is based for European Capital of Culture. And for the participants who come from Europe, they know what is that, but this is one of the biggest cultural events in Europe, where 2 cities in Europe are celebrating the diversity of cultures. And in 2020, based on the learnings of this project in the city of Plovdiv, now the project runs in 6 other cities around Bulgaria. So there are many different moments where placemaking can help organization and can help positive change. Why webinar? Each year since 2017, with the starting of the placemaking activities of BGB Active, the organization was holding conferences, in-person conferences. Of course, last year and this year, this is not really possible to meet in person, but nobody stops sharing of ideas. So instead of a conference where we can meet and discuss and share ideas, there will be a series of webinars where, again, the sharing of ideas could happen. And before I close this quick presentation, I very often wonder which I should start first, presenting BGB Active, placemaking activities, or Plovdiv, the city where I'm from and I love. And I really like to invite you when things improve to Plovdiv. There's many places that are beautiful and we can learn from them. And there's still many places that we can learn and redevelop together. So please accept this as an invitation to our city and our great initiatives. Okay, so I'm now back to the presentations and our speakers. And one last note, what you saw, and since BGB Active work into possible change, we had one supporter, and that's Coca-Cola Foundation. And through the foundation's partnerships, we've managed to create a lot of good things here in Bulgaria, and we thank them for their support. And now it's time to go to the presentations and Martina, but before that, I would ask Kerry to have a quick poll for us. Kerry, please. Please take time to answer the poll. Let's see where you're from, where you're watching from. Do you have any experience in placemaking projects? What motivated you to register for this webinar? Let's see and help our speakers. Okay, 70% voted. We wait for 20 seconds more. Okay. Other. What is other? My living room? Oh, okay. Kerry, can you present the results, please?
Okay, hello all. So we have 17% of the 102 participants from Bulgaria. We have 2% from Italy, 8% from the United Kingdom, 14% from other countries in Europe, 24% from the United States, 7% from Canada. We don't have any more from other countries in North America. And we have 27% from other continents such as Asia, Australia, and Africa, and of course, South America.
And on the chat, we have Brazil, Australia, and Colombia. Welcome. I have no idea what is the time over there, but welcome. That's a great variety. And on the other questions?
And then we have, do you have any experience with placemaking projects? 76% of the participants right now have previous experience and only 24 don't have any. And then on the motivation for registering for the webinar, 13% want to solve a problem, 71% want to further develop their knowledge on placemaking, then 29 want to progress an active project, 44 grow their general knowledge, and 8% other things which we will be interested in to hear about.
And definitely we would like to hear about your problems in the Q&A section. Please write your questions to the moderators. And now I'm very happy to welcome Martina from Doma Art Foundation and KvARTal initiative to share how in the past 5 years they managed to revive one of the neighborhoods of Sofia. And now this is a very famous neighborhood throughout Bulgaria. Martina, please.
Thank you and welcome to everybody. So I'm going to put 15 minutes here because time we need to. Okay. So first I'm going to share my screen so you can see the presentation. I'm based in Bulgaria, in Sofia, where there is a lot to do. So even if you walk around, you have ideas what you can do or what we can do better. This is also possible in any other country, even more developed than Bulgaria, because for sure there are a lot of things that we can make better. That is why we are here. So the first question that we asked ourselves 5 years ago was how to make our neighborhood better, because this is like the former Jewish quarter, which is abandoned from about 50 years now. And let me turn the screen share so you can see and visualize. Did I share my screen? I don't know what. Yes? Okay, yes. Thank you. This is the image of the neighborhood. So actually 5 years ago, we were working on another project, which is situated in front of the railway station. Because it was also abandoned. There are 140 abandoned spaces. Now there are only drug dealers and prostitutes because it's also the railway station. And we were thinking what we can do there. And the first idea was to fill these 140 abandoned spaces with culture, art, independent scene, theaters, and so on. We gathered a very big support on it, but it was part of Sofia for Cultural Capital of Europe in 2019. And even though we could change the status of the place, it was for some shops, but we changed it for an art place together with the Sofia municipality. But when Plovdiv, the other second beautiful, maybe the first most beautiful city in Bulgaria, won to be the cultural capital of Europe, and then the municipality lost the interest, and because the spaces there were municipal, that's why we decided to use all we knew, and we moved back to the art district. Actually, I live here in this district. It is a small, beautiful district in the center of Sofia, in the total center of Sofia. So, you know, when something is abandoned, there are a lot of arts and ateliers that start to come here. Actually, this is not only from now, the history that we found that this happened much before. And we decided not to make something as a gentrification that people say, but more to connect all the people that are around and all the stakeholders, and to work with them. Why I'm with the Bulgarian presentation? Maybe I downloaded something else. Let me see. Or maybe I open just a second.
No, Martina. It was right. It's just those two slides that are in Bulgarian.
Okay,
the other ones, okay.
I'm opening it back again. So yes, and we started working with this district because we saw that it's full of potential, and people, even my mother, is saying, why you work with this district? It's so abandoned, it's so ugly, and everybody is afraid to go there. And actually, this is what we are looking for. When you have an idea, usually you walk around and you see what you have, and then you learn from abroad, of course. So this is the map. This is the map. So you see it's like a small square.
Sorry, can you share screen again?
Sorry. Okay, I have 2 more extra minutes for this. Just a second to see, to open and to share. Sorry. Share screen. So I think I shared it now. Yes?
Yes. Perfect, thank you.
So this is the area, this is the district. You see there is a river and there are 4 boulevards, big boulevards. And basically what we have in this district between all these 4 boulevards is like mostly the old heritage of the capital of Bulgaria, of Sofia. So we have a Viennese architecture that is destroying in front of our eyes, not new buildings. We have small streets around. We have also the archaeological history, because there are a lot of remains around from the former, from 2000 years ago. And we have also the three main, even the four main religious institutions, which is the synagogue, the mosque, the Orthodox, and the Catholic Church. So actually, these are some parts of the district. You see that there is a lot of Viennese architecture, because in the past, this was the trade center, and that's why this beautiful Viennese architecture is still here. And how to make this area attractive and how to invite people to come, this was the know-how that we had to go through, and I'm going to tell you more about it. So yes, the idea is not new. There are a lot of art neighborhoods and cultural neighborhoods all around the world. I was living in Moscow for 12 years, and I saw that a lot of factories were rebuilt and remade with culture. And this was the idea that we wanted to create in front of the railway station. And now this is what we are doing in the art district. So, you know, the art districts are in Krakow, Prague, and all around the world. They can be even more than in one city in a country. So we found that there are a lot of artists and art ateliers here that they even don't know about each other. And we started to map all of them, to make a map and to make a connection between all of them. So these are some of the places. You see there are a lot of nice street art. There is a lot of nice street art in the district that now we are following more. We invited the Sofia free tours and the Sofia graffiti tours that are making the tour also in the art district. And we started to make more walls and places with them. So first of all, like how to work on this district is to think how to make, of course, the visibility, the security, promoting the original character, because, you know, we know that there is a lot of history, but the people don't know. To create a new identity, because people think still of the area that is abandoned. I hope less and less, because after our work. And to promote attractive content, so people can come here and to see that actually it's not dangerous. So yes, these are some examples of the other cities. Also, we work in a border with some of them, and we exchange some knowledge and some practices. So Nurt, Amsterdam, Kreuzberg in Berlin, like Nurt is very close to us, Kazimierz in Krakow, which is also a former Jewish quarter. And so we collected all this in one, and based on the rich cultural heritage, together with all the organizations and institutions and studios that are here, we started to connect. But how to invite these people? We decided that the festival is the most visible thing. And you see some pictures of the place. I want to show you what is it like. And all this is abundant, and somebody is waiting to fall down and to build something new and big. And this is what we want to afford. So from one side, we want to attract people to the art place, to the art district. And the second is to attract and to pay attention in the cultural and architectural heritage. So this is the second part that we are working on this district. So we decided to create a festival. How you can invite people in something that is not attractive, of course, with a festival, but how we invite these people in something that they think is unattractive. And that's why we connected that the only day that something is happening in this district is the 17th of September, when is the day of Sofia. And this is the only day that the city is making something in this district. So we said, okay, there are people that are coming here on the big square, and we make a parallel festival. So we attract all of these people to go down the district. And this is what happened. The strategy worked, and people started to come down very, very curious. The program we created was... of course, we have one big art program that is all around the abandoned places or the galleries. People walk with maps. We have a big panel discussion that we speak. We invite the main architect, the municipal people, and other institutions, together with the independent scene, where we speak about some ideas or what we can do for the abandoned heritage. We also share good practices about this heritage. Of course, because it's the old Jewish district, we work with Shalom, which is the Jewish organization in Bulgaria. So we have free tours to tell some stories. We have free tours around the architecture, and people start to learn more and more about the history of the city. By the way, it was also the red light district in the 20s, because the king used to have these bardaks here in the district. So it's very interesting, very interesting idea. We also are working in the idea to have more shared streets, because here is the place that, Sofia is the place that we have only 2 pedestrian streets, and which is very, very few. And that's why we started to, together with the local municipality, to close for the festival and for the other events that we do once per month, 1 or 2 or 3 streets. And because people need more spaces to be out. And this is the first step. Now we are working on a permanent pedestrian streets together with the main architect and with the local municipality. And here you see the map and people walking around. These are some pictures of the tours in front of the cinema house, like the interest of the people. Here are some pictures of the art ateliers, some workshops that we do. And what is important, people found that there is a lot of things, that this is abandoned place, that we made some small reconstruction, and we did an exhibition of contemporary art there, also to get people into these places, and it turned into a beautiful gallery. Unfortunately, it didn't last, but this is other topic. So these are one of the pop-up places that we do. So this is also for rent abandoned, and we just invite somebody to make a pop-up shop or whatever. This is part in the cinema house. We have a big cinema house here in the district. We make these like workshops. This is what we did together with Goethe Institute, who owns the city and who runs the city. And we do a lot of open Sen program all around. Also, there is the fire play station here, and we work with them and we invite them. You see down here on the right, the kids are working. All the spaces are mostly abandoned, and not only we start to support the now existing, these are some of the open stages, free open stages. And this is what is happening during the festival. But we wanted to leave this not only during the festival, but to be like through all the year, because people started to love the festival. Now it became as one of the biggest urban festivals in the city, and people are waiting for it every time. And it took us like 3 years to explain that actually it is a project of our district, and this festival is not moving from this district, because we were invited to take place in other districts to make the festival, and it took us time. So it is very difficult to create a civil society. What we do there, working with all these stakeholders, all these bars, all these ateliers, all these people, we are creating a civil society, and there are a lot of things that, a lot of problems that exist that are coming up through these years of working. Rather, one of the neighbors are saying, I'm not going to participate because the others are making the same as me. You as organizers don't pay attention. Or, you know, we make a pedestrian streets, and there is one neighbor that is like, he wants to come with his car just in front of his home, and, you know, we need to work with this. Or there is the woman from the common municipal literature place, where she is like, saying, we are coming to her and saying, we want to make your yard more beautiful, and we found somebody who can help you with. And she's saying, why? I want to keep it bad, because otherwise drug dealers and alcoholics will come, because it's beautiful. It took us 3 years. Finally we made it. She's very happy. At the end, we found that we need to work more and more with the people, so they feel that they're part of the change. And yes, so even now there are a lot of problems to work with the civil society, first to keep them somehow motivated, and then some of them want to be active but don't know how. So it's a very, long, very, very difficult to work with. Also, we had a bad experience that some of the people in the area, they were ones who wanted to get this project to all of them, to them by themselves. And we were very naive to give our passwords and everything and to invite them in the project to work with us. And then they tried to steal it, but we stopped it using some lawyers and so on. And still we are going on and strong, learning from our mistakes. So yes, so it's what we are doing is creating, we decided that if we want to be the change, we need to make it by ourselves. And when we start to speak with the municipality, hey, we have a project we are doing with this and that, we already have some we have already some partners in the district and we are doing this and that. And then the municipality is starting to open. It was not at the first like this. And then they're like, okay, you're doing a very good job. What we can do, how we can support you. And now we have more and more the support of the local municipality. That's why we are now working not only on full pedestrian streets, but we are working also in some city places that we can open for people, for example, parkings or something else, because what you see here in the pictures is only during the festival, but now more and more during the other time. And yes, and what we are totally open for any kind of partnership. We are trying to work with all the organizations, with all the people that we are inviting in this urban district, because it depends of all of us. And we are more and more inviting people to open places and to be part. And these are some pictures of the workshop that we did. You see, this is the district we had with Goethe Institute and some urbanists. So we had to walk in, divided into couples. We had to walk around and to say, is this street dark? Is this street, there is a lack of trees? What is the lack of this and that street? And we mapped all this. So now we know what to work more for better in the district. And yes, these are some pictures. And this is it. The future depends on all of us. And we believe that the civil society comes not waiting from somebody to tell you that you need to make the change, but you need to feel the change and to start with. And it's difficult.
Absolutely great. Thank you, Martina. As promised, we will have one question answered now. Please do use the Q&A section, because we can see your questions and in the chat box they could be lost. So please use the Q&A section. And I have the one burning question to you, Martina, which is a combination of two. And the question is, can you suggest how municipal governments or funders can help stimulate grassroots or community placemaking?
To my experience, this happens only with a big civil society push, because if before we tried to speak with them and they were saying, yes, of course, this is very important, and nothing was happening for years. And this is a tactic, inviting you even in the municipality and saying, of course, we are going to make it. And then nothing is happening for years. And this is my experience. This is the experience of my partners and also other organizations. So this is like in Bulgaria. The change should be led from people that are active. So uniting people under one idea. For example, we are trying to make our district here better, and then to speak with the municipality, rather to speak with the municipality and then to start the changes. The municipality actually started to speak with us because they saw that we are very active and that we are becoming more and more powerful. This is why before that, even now, the big municipality is not recognizing us as our district. Just now, this year, they are starting little by little, because they see that they cannot avoid us, that we are already 5 years there, and the change is, is quite visible. And this is the way. The way is to gain some energy and people around an idea. Then as much more people you have around this idea, then to find another support from another institutions, for example, if they are, like I said, Goethe Institute, or it depends of your area where you live. And then having all this power, basically the politicians, when you see that you're not coming alone, that you have some people that vote for them behind you, this is when they start to make some changes.
Thank you, Martina.
Yeah.
Super. We have 10 questions more for Martina, and we'll take them after all the presentations. And now we go from Sofia to a similar project, but in Lisboa, Portugal, and I asked Kerry to let the video on. And please continue with your questions. We will try to answer them all. Kerry?
That took us for almost 3 years to open.
I'm sorry, just to check, do you hear the sound?
Actually, we chose that name because Largo, it's this square, Largo do Intendente. An intendent was a known place. It was one of the most decorated spaces and neighborhoods of the city center of Lisbon, where nobody wanted to step in.
I remember coming here quite well. I think there was a cardboard here, and I also remember, I think it was in this room, a calendar with the Pope, with John Paul II. Well, it was mostly a pension for prostitution. I think there was a tension in between the landlords that want to evict them. We came in for the first time after the court give back the keys to the landlord. We didn't understood from the beginning what it was, but that's how we started to work on with this building.
So first of all, we had to take some time not to do anything, but mostly to be a part of the place and to be seated on a bench, to know, to talk, to get familiar.
Largo Residências has been working on a community level since its beginning, working with different kind of people, elderly people, migrants, with the most vulnerable people around. And then a school band is passing because there's visits in internet as every day. Obrigada.
This is also a very multicultural area. If you walk this side, you have Chinatown. If you walk this side, you have Banglatown. So each time we had to find a different way to engage people. And also we made a lot of projects engaging food, for example, because we realized that spaces that are connected to food were the places where the different cultures were meeting.
Largo Residências, the residences host different kind of public. They host tourists and they host artists. Artists as performers, musicians, and so on, and researchers are working with Largo, with the communities and on this public space, which is the square.
And I think that Largo organizes and creates something a bit different because we try to involve most of the people around this area, and it's good to have the communities working together. It creates a sense of integration and a feeling of belonging at the city, even if you are a foreigner living here.
They have a big festival which is called Bairro Internet em Festa, which is Internet's neighborhood in party, or let's say party in Internet's neighborhood, which is that have vocation to show up all those works that have been made during the year.
So actually we have 3 different sectors of activity. The main one, it's the cultural and social-cultural activity that doesn't depend so much on the building. And we have the social businesses, the accommodation and the cafe, that is a way to finance our permanent structure of work.
The cafe has some ideas that structure our core business of the cooperative. So we have benches and then tables outside where people can sit without asking anything. It's our place there to also to do social work, in the sense that we identify people that had to get support, have no money, and that comes here to have some meals.
Largo Residencias was one of the first initiatives funded by the Big Zip. So this initiative was conceived at the time also as an initiative that could foster the quality of life in this neighborhood.
Okay, in the beginning we just said, okay, we're in, we don't know how we will be paid because there was no money. For us, it was quite clear for everyone that we should be a non-profit. We had to choose in between association and cooperative. It was much more interesting for us to be a cooperative and have the figure of cooperative investor. So we have 25% of capital invested from the cooperatives, 25% that were invested by running for applications to the municipality, and the 50% part of the other investment was mostly from delaying the debt. So negotiating the debt with the contractor, so opening one part of the building, producing money so that we can pay for the other part. That took us for almost 3 years to open everything.
Initiatives and collectivities like Largo, they can do the mediation between the socio-economic local tissue of these communities with the larger political forces, for instance.
We use Largo as a very important instrument of local policies being started by the bottom. People that come together, that organize themselves, that ask for places, that ask for places to do the things they want to do.
I was just saying that last weekend Largo was the promoter of an initiative called Next Stop in the underground of Lisbon with dance, music. So I think that this set of different initiatives makes also the success of this project.
But especially I think that the main issue here is that they can mobilize all the local and the small forces that we have here for urban struggle to put housing issue, the housing issue, or even the necessity for regulation of tourism, for instance, in the political and the social agenda. I think that's the most important thing.
In a way, I think we are maybe the project that gives more local employment, and also we had integrated in our team some vulnerable people that asked for help and for an opportunity. In a way, this is a very concrete impact.